Hey everybody, Mo here, and today I'm going to bring you guys another episode of Sweaty Thursday, and a very important episode of Sweaty Thursday, because this weekend is the first ever Runeterra Open. So the Sweaty Thursday is going to mostly be going over lineups. I'll talk a little bit about ladder, but for the most part I'm going to be talking about tournaments, since a lot of people are going to be playing in the Open this weekend. And the fact that it is open, as everyone can play, whereas previously I would make a Sweaty Thursday, talk about the seasonal, and then some of my viewers don't even qualify for seasonal, so they didn't care, they just want the latter part. Well, the cool thing about opens is that literally anyone can play in them, no matter your rank, your decks, like anything, your collection, you can just play in the open. All you need is 3 decks that fit the deck building. So what I'm going to go over here is two lineups that I think are the best lineup. And then outside of that, I'm just going to go over kind of general decks. I have Runeterra AR pulled up here to the side. And I'm just going to go over just general decks that are good. So that way you can know, like, what you want to play. So let's start off with going over the lineups. I'm going to go over the traditional lineup, and then I'll go over this, like, secondary lineup that's kind of been popping up. So the first lineup is going to be Samira Fizz, the first lineup's going to be Karma Sett, Jack Seraphine, and then Samira X. Samira X meaning X can be either Fizz or Leona. I think both are fine. I think Samira Leona is a much easier deck, but it's just as good. But I think Samira Fizz, when played at like the top level, is probably the best deck in the game. I always see people with insane win rates. Micah Drizoth has like 900 LP last time I checked. He's just like gapped everyone else in the game. Okay, 817, so he's lost some. He was at like 880, 890, something like that. So he's lost a couple games, but he just has like this huge LP gap between him and the next person. P-Tash has been absolutely dominating with Samira Fizz also. So it's definitely one of those decks where if you can play it well, you can gain loads and loads of LP on it. So that's why I'm going with Samira Fizz, because I think it's much better. I was on Samira Leona, then I decided I really just need to sit down and learn Samira Fizz. And it's been going pretty well, so I'm going to probably stick with Samira Fizz. Worst case scenario, I feel not confident the day of or something, I can just switch over to Samira. But yeah, this is the lineup I'm on right now, and I think this is the lineup that most players are on. I think the Karma Sett, Jack Illoai is probably the main core behind most top player lineups. And that's because this core kind of just beats everything. It beats a lot of the mid-range decks. It beats a lot of... You can build it to beat Samira Fizz players if they aren't great. Like, for example, I plan to ban Samira Fizz because I think Samira is kind of broken. And I don't think people are going to be prepared for the mirror matches and the control matchups. So I'm going to play... Oh, sorry, this actually isn't right. I'm going to be on third formula. Sorry, oops. Good for me, I fixed that. But yeah, so this is what I'm on. Like, I only have 2 Acorn technicians, and I'm down to like 2 Caustic Rifts, so I'm really not prepared for the Samira Fizz matchup. If you wanted to be prepared for the Samira Fizz matchup, you could like take out Pit Professionals, put in the Accountant, the like 1-2 elusive blocker, put in more elusive blockers, so that way you can just block and trade with their cheap elusive units, and then you can be very happy with that. You don't really rely on the Caustic Rifts and the Mystic Shots, because if they play a 2-1 Fury, you have, you know, this 1-1 or a 1-2 blocker. If they play Fizz, again, you have a 1-1 or a 1-2 blocker that trades into it. So you can go up to a 3rd Caustic Rift, so that way you have more likely to find it. So you're just very happy in general into not great Samira Fizz players, up to 2 Exploiters, so you can just kill, what is her name, on site, Inferno on site. Yeah, and then Jack Seraphine obviously is going to be good into Samira Fizz if you want it to, because I think I went down again to 2 Caustic Rifts, but you can just go to 3 Caustic Rifts, and literally it's just like, find BB, Caustic Rift them, and then they just lose the game, and it's very fine. Yeah, but my versions are very much anti-control tech. You see here I'm on like 2 warning shots, so I want to make sure I have my combo piece. I'm even on the, where's he at? Acoustician? Acoustician? I don't really know how you say this. Acoustician? But basically, this guy's like really, really good. This guy's super underrated. I've kind of talked with a couple people about it. This is kind of the sauce. If you're planning to play into the control matchups more. Into control matchups, this card is insane. Into mid-range matchups, it's just a worse Pablo. And I think Pablo is absolutely insane in the mid-range matchups, but really bad in the control matchups. So I wanted to have both, just in case I hit both, because you don't really know what you're going to play across 8 to 9 rounds, depending on if you have the buy or not. You don't, and against like all types of people, because it is an open, so you don't really know what you're going to hit. So I figured I want something good into control, and then I want something like Pablo into mid-range. Outside of that, I'm on 2 sputtering song spinners, only 1 bar, because bar's not great into Karma. Yeah, and like I said, the 2 orange shots. So it's very like anti-control. This version of Karma Sett has a little bit more pressure, like pit professionals to kind of take board control. And I could even go up to a 3rd like tag out to try and make the control matchup even better. But I'm on a whole bunch of draw spells, try and find my karmas and stuff first. So I very much feel teched for the control matchups. I think that's the biggest thing. I think people aren't going to be prepared for it, and that's good. But also, these decks are just so good into mid-range and so good into general decks. Like, I'm just going to like beat Ashe Noxus with this type of stuff. I'll beat bad Samira players if I like really need to. I'll beat like Malphite players. Like you can just beat so much, like Echo Zillion players, or sorry, Echo Jinx players. You can just beat a lot of stuff with these 2 decks alone. And then your 3rd deck is kind of just whatever you want. And I'm just gonna go with what I think is the best deck, which is Samira Fizz. I don't think it all has to fit necessarily, but yeah, this is like the strongest core of any lineup. I think right now is going to be the Karma Sett and the Jack Illoai. So lineup number 2 is kind of a more newer, crazy lineup that I think is under the radar, but a lot of people have been absolutely dominating with it. I know a lot of really good players are on this lineup, or at least practicing this lineup, and this lineup is consistently beating me. When I'm on the like Jack Samira, or sorry, when I'm on the Jack Seraphine and then the Sett Karma lineup, this deck is smoking me consistently. And that's this Jarvan Illoai deck, which kind of sounds like a meme, but Jarvan Illoai has actually been like one of the best on stats. This deck is insane. On stats, this deck beats like Karma Sett, Jack Seraphine. It loses to like Ashe Nox, and that's it. It's beating like everything else apparently in stats. So apparently this deck is just like absolutely nuts. I haven't had much success with it myself, but this is probably like one of the better builds I could find for it. And I mean, it's like doing really well for the people it's doing well with. For the people it's not doing well with, it's just doing poorly. Even if you are a typical mid-range player, I have a friend who's like a really good mid-range player, and he's tried picking the deck up in scrims and gauntlets and stuff, and has like a 40% win rate on it. And so, like, the deck is just really weird. But, I mean, stats says it's insane, and a lot of top players are on this because they want to make sure they can beat the control decks. And the second one's going to be the Aatrox Vayne. So, Aatrox Vayne Quinn, you're on 1 Quinn, 1 Quinn, 2 Aatrox, 3 Vayne. Thing you can do, I like going 1 Aatrox, 2 Quinn. Do something like this. I think like Aegis is probably wrong. You go up to like a 3rd spear. And something like this, it just looks much better. The 1 silence and suppress for the BB matchup. And yeah, I really like some sort of deck like this. It's anti-control, and it feels really good because you're just like Ranger Knight Defector on 4. And if you play Ranger Knight plus like Darkened Spear, you just tell your opponent, show me you have Palm or you die. And yeah, that's another one. The only bad thing about this deck is you're going to be really sad into a lot of the heavy metal decks, which a lot of decks are playing heavy metal right now out of the top decks. Like Samira Fizz is playing heavy metal. Jack Seraphine is playing heavy metal. Let's see, what else is playing heavy metal? This one is playing a couple heavy metals. One heavy metal here. There are just, I think a lot of, any Bilgewater deck you're really going to have trouble with, but I would say that's not much except for these like 2 top decks right here, unless I'm forgetting something. But overall, it's probably a fine deck. You're gonna lose to Ashe Nox. Obviously, like this whole lineup just gets destroyed by Ashe Noxus. And then your 3rd deck is they're on the Leona Samira version. Again, another more mid-rangey version, but still really teched for control. You see here it's playing 1 Reckless Trifarian because 3 mana 5/4 is good. And then yeah, it's one of those. I think it's only on like 2 might. Oh no, it's on all 3 might, 3 fervor, 2 pirouettes because pirouette is an insane card. Pirouette's really good. I highly recommend if you're playing this Leona Samira deck, you're on pirouettes because a lot of times players fall into this play pattern of like, oh, I'm against this Daybreak deck. They're gonna stun the first unit I play, or they're gonna stun with the first card I play, and then I can play my big threat. And so if you're playing pirouette in your deck, you can like stun something or play something as your Daybreak card, or play something first, and then your opponent's like, oh, okay, well, they don't have a stun anymore, play, the actual threat, and then you say, just kidding, I have pirouette, stun it anyways. and that's a very, very big thing to have. I'm on a slightly different version that plays the Harazi equipment. That card's been doing really well for me. I don't know the name of it. For you guys, oh, Lodestone. So I'm on a version that plays like 2 Lodestone. It plays a Winding Light, but so my version is very much more teched for like the mirrors and teched for mid-range matchups, and this is just teched for control. And it seems like very much everyone hates control right now, and everyone's trying to beat Sett and Jack Samira. The only issue I have with this deck right here is that you're gonna lose extremely hard to like Ashe Noxus, and then I don't think you're very good into like Samira Fizz. And so, because I think even in these decks, you're playing like 2 Badger Bears or something. Like you're not even on full 3 Badger Bears. This one's not on. Where are you? Oh, are you on any? Oh yeah. 2 Badger Bears. The other one's on 2 Badger Bears. So you can have a hard time into good Samira Fizz players if you don't draw like Cataclysms and Strike spells. And all in all, these decks just feel less consistent probably. Like if you don't have a way to like start the game with tentacles, like if you don't start the game with Watchful Idol in this deck, and you're not getting your first tentacle until like Seize Voice or Tentacle Smash on turn 3, it can feel insanely awkward a lot of the times. And then some decks kind of just like destroy this Aatrox deck, again, just with Heavy Metal alone, it can feel kind of awkward. And then I'm also just personally not a fan of targeting in opens. I'm down to target in like in a top cut where the pool of players is going to be much smaller, and you kind of have an idea of the type of players you're going to be playing against, and you have an idea of what they want to bring. It feels more like a community tournament where you're like, okay, well, in this community tournament, a lot of people are going to want to bring, you know, the best deck, or a lot of people are going to want to bring these top decks, and then so targeting feels a lot more doable. I mean, I won my seasonal with the hard targeting lineup, but I did that in, you know, top cut, not in the open rounds. So in the open rounds, that's why I feel like I like something like this more, of this like Jack Seraphine, Sett, and then Fizz Samira, or just any Samira deck. Either Samira Leona also works in this spot here, because it's just so good into generalized decks, and it has a lot of room for you to skill diff not great players. Like even if someone is on this Jarvan Illoai deck, but it's a not great player, there's a good chance that I just beat them with Sett anyways, because I could just like done their thing at the right time, deny something at the right time, recall something at the right time. And if they're just greedy or play things incorrectly, it's very, very easy to do that. So that's why I prefer this deck in open. I'm just never been a fan of the hard targeting decks, because if you just don't see it, one of these decks, you can just like lose the game. Or if you just happen to see like weird stuff that beats you, like you run into some weirdo playing like I hit someone in Gauntlet that was on Veigar Asol, Senna, I don't even remember what it was like paired with, like Senna Thresh or something. I don't know. It was Senna something. Probably not. I think Thresh was rotated. It was like Senna something, and then Nora SI. And it was just like this triple SI, triple cringe, triple like, I don't even know what they were trying to do, like control lineups. And stuff like that is just like weird. You know, you never plan around it, but something like that's going to be pretty like easy for this deck to get. But, you know, that's like my takeaway. My biggest takeaway is play what you're comfortable with. The number one rule in any lineup, in any tournament, in any deck is just play what you're comfortable with. Play what you know how to play. Because if you don't know how to play a deck well, you're gonna misplay a lot, and it's probably not gonna go too well for you. But then right after that is just try and play like good decks. Like how well your lineup gets together is not the most important. How hard targeting is not highly recommended. But this lineup right here is really good. But both lineups are very, very good. That's why I'm showing them. Because if you do hate control, I know a lot of people do, this lineup is very good at that. And this lineup like isn't bad. I just don't think it's as good into every deck as this lineup is good into every deck. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Good luck to everyone in the Open this weekend. If you want to watch my Open run, see if I can take down day 1 and qualify for day 2, I'll be live over at twitch.tv/emotional. Link will be down in the description below. I'll be live this Saturday. I don't know what time I'll be doing my Open run, but just go drop a follow over there so you get a notification whenever I go live. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next video.